الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير السنن سنن محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه العظيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, my topic of khutbah today is guidelines for family life in Islam. Islam gives various guidelines in Quran to lead a better family life and to lead a very successful family life. Also, in the example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the stories of other prophets mentioned in Quran and Islamic history, we get various examples how to lead life as a Muslim in family. For example, it was a tradition of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to mention 3 verses of Quran during every nikah ceremony. Whenever there is a nikah ceremony, solemnization of nikah, then Prophet Muhammad used to mention 3 verses of Quran. And these 3 verses gives all-time fundamental teachings how to lead a family life. This we have to remember as a father, as a mother, as a brother, as son. This is a standard guidelines to live in a family life, that how to lead a family life. These 3 verses are, one is chapter number 3, Surah Al-Imran, and verse number 102. This is one of the verse. And the second one is Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 1, which I just recited in the beginning of my khutbah. And the third one is Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter number 33, verse number 70 and 71. These are the 3 verses mentioned during solemnization of marriage. And if you see these 3 verses, it starts from the word ittaqillah. Ittaqillah is translated as fear God. But fear may not be a very appropriate word for taqwa, because there is another word, khawf, in Arabic, which is translated as fear. Taqwa has more higher meaning, but because of the limitations of language, in some of the translations you will find the word fear God. Taqwa is more than fearing God. Probably the more better translation is submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taqwa means adopting devotion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and submitting oneself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in these 3 verses, taqwa is used 4 times. So fundamental principle of taqwa is submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has a vast meaning, showing a better response for every problem and dealing with family in a better way. All these things are taqwa. Various kinds of taqwa are there. Taqwa is not, there is not a single explanation that how to be yourself a muttaqi, how to act as a muttaqi person in a family. You cannot give a single definition. There may be a various definition, and definition may vary according to time. For example, I would like to quote an example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he mentioned the word taqwa during a family problem. Once when he came to his house, he saw that his wife, Safiya radiyallahu ta'ala, she was weeping. And he asked Safiya, what happened, Safiya? And you are looking sad and almost your face is like you are weeping. She said, I'm very sad today because just now, a while ago, one of my sister, Hafsa radiyallahu ta'ala, she is another wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She said, you are a daughter of Jew. And she was from the Jewish origin, she was from the Khaybar. Khaybar, there was a Jewish population. And she embraced Islam, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam proposed that and married her. And she was from the Jewish family. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he understood the problem. Naturally, when somebody is commenting that you are a daughter of Jew, and she was very sorry about it, that she would not have mentioned, Hafsa radiyallahu ta'ala would not have mentioned this word. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, O Hafsa, O Safiya, you are not only daughter of Jew, you have three distinct positions which none of my wife has. One is you are wife of a prophet, and the second one is you are daughter of a prophet, because she was from the family of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So he said, your father is a prophet, because you are from the family of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and your uncle Harun alayhi salatu wasalam was also a prophet. So this is a great distinct feature which none of my wife has, so you are great. So he changed her mind with the words of appreciation, and she started smiling. Immediately she changed. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam solved the problem in a nice way. And he turned towards Hafsa. Hafsa radiyallahu ta'ala was also there. He turned towards her and said, Ittaqillah ya Hafsa. Hafsa radiyallahu ta'ala, develop taqwa within you. See, this here, taqwa means what? Taqwa means never utter this kind of words again. And be careful when you are using any words. And you remember that Allah Ta'ala is watching you when you are using some words with your brothers and sisters or within the family. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not yell at her and did not castigate her. And he said in a beautiful way, adopt taqwa. So you can understand what taqwa is. Taqwa means it has various requisites in various occasions. So this is one of the occasions you can understand how we have to adopt taqwa. So like that you will find various examples of taqwa. Like Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he is mentioned as an example of parenting in Quran. What was his advice to his family? It is also mentioned in Quran. It says that وَوَصَّى بِهَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ بَنِيهِ وَيَعْقُوبُ. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam gave admonition to his children, and also Yaqub alayhi salam. Here you can see that two prophets are mentioned. One is Ibrahim alayhi salam, one is Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. And they are from different times. They are not from the same time. There is a gap of generations between them. And Allah Ta'ala has combined their admonition in one verse and says, Yaqub alayhi salam also gave an admonition. Also his forefather, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, gave the same admonition to his family. What was this admonition? What was this advice? Inna Allah astafa lakumuddin. Ya baniya, inna Allah astafa lakumuddin. Fala tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Their advice was, Allah Ta'ala has chosen this religion for you. So let death shall not approach you until you are a Muslim. So be always a good Muslim. That is what is the requisite. That will adopt taqwa and submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the admonition to the children. You can see that if you are a good Muslim, for example, if husband is sure about his wife that she is a good Muslim, then he is satisfied. He did not have to worry about her. Because he knows that she is a good Muslim, she always takes the right decision, and she will always be a good person, and you have a great confidence in her that yes, she is a right person. And if your children are good Muslim children, and they are always not forgetting the requisites of Islam, then you need not have to worry about them. They will be a good children, so they always know what decisions they have to make. In whatever kind of situation they are living in whatever atmosphere they are living in, you are satisfied, but my son or my daughter or my children are good Muslim children and you are satisfied about them. So this is what, and also about husband, if a wife is satisfied about husband, that he is a good Muslim, if she has a guarantee that he is a good Muslim, then she is totally satisfied about him and she has a confidence about him. So religion is the solution of all problems. In family life also, the number one requisite of family life is submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the number one requisite. That's why in all these verses, Allah tabarak wa ta'ala mentions about taqwa. What is the first verse mentioned in Nikah sermon? The first verse is of chapter Al Imran. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O believers, submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as per this requisite, and let death shall not approach you unless you are Muslims. Here Allah tabarak wa ta'ala whenever mentions about taqwa, more than one time he mentions that the requisite of taqwa is that death shall not approach you unless you are a believer. Means you are always a good person. There is no dearth for the people who are occasionally good Muslims. Even some bad Muslims are occasionally good Muslims. For example, once they decide to go to Umrah, 1 week they are a very good Muslim. And as soon as they come back from Umrah, maybe 2 days, 3 days, that tendency of being better person is there. And after that they totally forget. And sometimes they get it as a certificate and says, after 1 year if I am leaving, then again after 1 year they go Umrah and ask for forgiveness or whatever they did and come back again back to the normal. Occasional Muslims. Sometimes in the month of Ramadan, you are a very devoted person. After month of Ramadan, you forgot everything. It is not wrong to be more devoted during Umrah pilgrimage, during Hajj or during month of Ramadan. It is something very near to the nature of every human individual, every human being, that you are more devoted. But becoming less devoted or variation in your devotions is okay. But totally forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not definitely acceptable. There are this kind of people around the globe that sometimes you totally forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Allah tabarak wa ta'ala said the real requisite is in all kinds of situations, every time you should be ready to death, and you never know when you are going to die. At least I came to know about 2 incidents this week. One is one of my relatives. He died while walking in one of my, you cannot say a friend of mine, a senior friend of mine. After morning walk, he was walking in the garden. Suddenly he fell down and people came to know that he died. And this was 2-3 days back. Yesterday, one of the person whom I know, he was traveling in a bus going to his job. And he had a massive heart attack. He died in the bus. His family was worried, why no, he didn't come back home in the evening, or he did not call whole day. Then they were looking for him, they were calling him. Then finally they came to know that he is in a hospital. When they reached the hospital, they came to know that he's already died. You never know when death shall come to you. So that's why be prepared for death any time and cultivate devotion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first requisite. The second ayah which Allah tabarak wa ta'ala gives us in chapter number 4, Surah An-Nisa, and verse number 1, which is also recited during Nikah sermon, which says, Ya ayyuhan nasu taqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida. Also it starts from ittaqillah. O people, submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has created you from one soul. Wa khalaqa minha zawjaha. And from the soul he has created your partner. So it is Allah Ta'ala who has created your partner for you. For every male there is a female, for female there is a male. So this is partnership which Allah Ta'ala has created. So this partnership is something, a must in life. Marry as early as possible. If it is you are settled, you have no problem for marriage, don't delay marriage of your daughter, of your children, or whoever is capable enough to marry. Let them opt for marriage, because this is the partnership which Allah Ta'ala has created. But if you see, people are going against this natural thing as well. Today, every so-called rational society means they have to recognize LGBT community. If any country, for example, American election, they care about the upcoming president or new president, what is his opinion about LGBT community. What is LGBT community means? Lesbian, gays, bisexuals and transgenders. This community is there and they are growing. And people are recognizing them, and this tendency is there among some people. But if this tendency is there among some people, they should be treated, they should be dealt with, they should be cared, and they should be given proper attention and proper treatment. This should not be encouraged. And if you encourage, what happens in some of the societies, for example, society like Thailand, for example, some people may be there, but everyone, almost every third person looks like he has some problem in his sexuality. He is a male or female, you cannot understand. This is because people are promoting this kind of tendency, that this tendency has become a business, this tendency has become an attraction, this tendency has become a requisite for them. This may be there among them, this is something disease or something abnormality. Abnormality should be treated, should not be encouraged. But Allah Ta'ala says again that there is a partnership created for you, and have a partner. Today you can see, because of this changing tendency, what's happening, especially in Western countries, people used to say, marry from the same culture. Or now, world has become global village. People cannot say marry from the same country now. People say marry from something who is compatible to you from any part of the world. Now this tendency is also changing because of the recognition of the LGBT community. Now parents are advising, for example, father, he advises his daughter, oh my dear daughter, it's time for marriage, marry anyone on the earth but marry a boy. And also for boys, parents are advising, marry anyone on the earth but marry a girl. This is the situation, the society is changing. So Allah Ta'ala says this partnership is created by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and this is necessary. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. And because of this partnership, Allah Ta'ala has made a natural arrangement that there are so many men and women around the globe. There's so many, you can see the procreation and the spread of human beings is because of this partnership. And there is a kind of respect as well. If you see, because of the family, father is an embodiment of love, and mother is an embodiment of compassion. And within the family, you can see how much love is there, how much compassion is there, and how much sacrifice is there, how much all these things. If it is there in the whole society, everyone is like a family, and because of the family, there is a relationship, uncle, aunt, niece, nephew, all this relationship, there is a great respect. So this is the institution Allah Ta'ala has created. Respect this institution and encourage this institution. This is what is necessary. A family atmosphere is necessary. This is changing in the so-called rational world. Family is becoming lesser and lesser. Living together is becoming something common, which is not encouraged in Islam, but Islam encourages to have a family life. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامَ. And fear God, or submit yourself in devotion to Allah Ta'ala, on whose name you are asking each other's rights. You remember Allah Ta'ala only when your right comes. Sometimes when their problem comes, when there is a matter of divorce, people go and ask ulama, now what's the way of divorce and how can I solve this problem? Only then people will remember Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And sometimes people have some kind of affair with a non-Muslim girl, or a Muslim girl has some kind of relationship with a non-Muslim boy, and finally they decide to marry. At that time they remember Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Now what's the method of conversion? What's the method of nikah? Where I should go and where I can solve this problem? Allah is remembered only when there is a problem. So Allah Ta'ala says, remember Allah Ta'ala always, on whose name you are asking each other's rights. Not only for asking each other's rights, not only remembering Allah Ta'ala when there is a problem, but remember Allah Ta'ala every time so that there shall not be any problem. Wal arham, and strengthen your family relationship. Raham, arham means actually It is all kinds of relationships starts from the mother's womb. Mother is a center point of all kinds of relationship. Because of mother, we call mother's brother as uncle. And because of mother, we call someone as father. And because of mother, we call someone as aunt. And because of mother, we have our siblings. And because of mother, we have so many kinds of relationship with whom we have great love and affection and compassion. That's why Allah Ta'ala has mentioned this root word. Raham means mother's womb, and all the relationship is because of the mother's womb, because of mother. So strengthen this relationship, which is the relationship due to your mother. But not only this relationship, one more addition you can make is have a great relationship with your in-laws as well. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has set forth a beautiful example how you should treat your in-laws. Father-in-law of Prophet Muhammad was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he was the best companion and best friend of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He used to consult him for everything. And sons-in-law of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ were Usman bin Affan radiyallahu ta'ala and Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala. They were great companions of Prophet Muhammad, great friends of Prophet Muhammad, and they had a great love and respect towards Prophet Muhammad. So Prophet Muhammad himself showed that how we should treat our in-laws. And this is also not becoming very common in our society. In-laws means there is some kind of allergy and some kind of tension, some kind of distance is there, which is not Islamic. In-laws means it should solve your problem, it should bring together two families, and it should develop a kind of respect. This is also necessary. And the third word says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. O believers, when you talk, first of all, submit yourself in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when you talk straight words. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. And when you know art of communication, when you talk in a better way, when you always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while talking, then Allah ta'ala will forgive your mistakes and He will reform your deeds. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ, and He will forgive your mistakes. And وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, and whoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet in all aspects of his life, he will be very successful. So within the family life, always remember what are the injunctions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are the traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You will be successful. And one of the things you have to adopt is art of communication. You should learn how to communicate. You should not err. So many examples are there. For example, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam was a great father. And also you can see how was his response in problematic situations. There may be problems in the family. For example, he is a great parent. He has quoted an example of a person of parenting. But all his children were good. Were all his children good? No. He had 12 children, and it's a great asset. Imagine 12 grown-up children means it's a big asset for any father. But were they asset for Yaqub alayhi salam, who was quoted an example of parenting? No, they were not. 10 children were problematic, only 2 were good. And they are from which family? They are from the family of the prophets. It was not only Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, his father and his grandfather were prophets. They have the great background of prophethood. In spite of that, 10 of their children were not good children. When they made problems, they thrown Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam into well, and they brought his shirt dipping in blood. They brought it home. Then they said, see what happened, wolf eaten your son. And they simply created a story. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam knew that it is a story, but he did not say that you are telling lie. Because when you say to your children you are telling lie, means you are giving an impression that sometimes you can tell lie as well. And you are telling children that I can expect you to tell lie sometimes. You have to give an impression to children that I am not expecting any time to tell lie. You always have to tell truth. But he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ Wallahu musta'anu ala ma tasifun. And he said, patience is the best thing. And the beautiful patience I will adopt. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala's help is sought in whatever you are describing, whatever situation you are explaining, only Allah's help I am seeking. This is what he said, this was his response. There was a problem in the family. You can see that if ideal family means not a problem-free family. Life is full of trials. Life is full of so many kinds of tests. Some people are tested through economy. Some people are money-strapped, that is their test. Some people are knowledge-strapped, they don't have knowledge. They have everything, money, comfort and everything, but they have to run behind knowledgeable person for every small thing. So this is again a test for them. And some people have everything, but they are tested through health. They have very poor health. This is a big test for them. And some people are given tests through their families. And this may happen to good people as well. If a father is a good person, mother is a good person, whether all the children will be good person, need not have to be. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala will test them in different ways. So the ideal family means always your response should be ideal. For example, in the prophetic example, you can see some children are not good, some wives are not good, some husbands are not good. For example, Yaqub alayhi salatu was salam's example is just presented. Also, Nuh alayhi salatu was salam's son. His son was not a good son. And he was among the people who were transgressors. But what was the example of Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam? He probably knew that this person is never going to change. But Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam did not stop advising him. Even at the last minute, when the flood came, when he made a boat, he made one boat for people to embark on it. Finally, he asked his son, Irkam ma'ana wa la takum min al-kafirin. Oh my son, embark on this boat, embark on this ship, and don't be among transgressors. That was his last advice to his son. Probably he knew that this son is never going to change. He did not change. But Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam did not stop giving admonition to him. And this is what is the response of the parent. Parents should never stop from your responsibilities. You have to fulfill your responsibilities, advise him, and don't detach from him. You need not have to detach yourself from him. Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam did not send him away from his family. He did not stop speaking to him. He was speaking to him. And this kind of examples, you can find so many examples. For example, you can find all kinds of scenarios. For example, some women may say, my husband is a very bad person, he is like a despotic ruler, or he is like a very arrogant person, he is a dictator. Asiya radiallahu ta'ala anha, wife of Fir'aun, was a good lady. And she was such a good lady that her name is mentioned in Quran. You can imagine. But who was the husband? Husband was the most despotic ruler and an arrogant person and a dictator. And this example is there. And she still remained a good person. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam was a very good person, but his wife was not a good person. So like that you will find various such examples. And some people among the relatives, for example, some people may say, my uncle is a very bad person, and he yelled at me and I cannot tolerate him. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had two bad uncles, Abu Lahab and Abu Jahal. And he managed with them. And there were some good uncles also. Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a very good person. Abu Talib was a very good person. And Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu remained as a non-Muslim for a very long time. But he took help for him in Hijrah. In so many crucial decisions, he took help from Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the biggest supporter. And again it shows that how we have to strengthen your family ties. These are some of the great examples which shows that how should be our family, how should be our response in our family, and the ideal family means you have to have a better relationship. And also Surah Al-Taghabun, chapter number 64, verse number 14 and 15, there is some guidelines for you. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, Innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna. Verily your possessions and your children are test for you. And also, Inna min azwajikum wa awladikum aduwwun lakum. Among your spouse and among your children, there may be some of them are enemies of you. Fahzaruhum, be careful about them. Wa in ta'fu wa tasfahu wa taghfiru. But being careful means what? Going away from them or detaching with them, stopping relationship with them? No. Wa in ta'fu wa tasfahu wa taghfiru. If you pardon them if you bear with them and if you forgive them, Inna Allah Ghafur Rahim, and Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is also oft forgiving. This is the thing, guidelines given to how to lead a better family life. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand our responsibility to lead a better family life, and may Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala make all our family members a very successful people who are following and adhering to the religion of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Barakallah lana wa lakum. ونفعني وإياكم بآياته والذكر الحكيم إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم ورب حليم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب الله العظيم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بعدد من صلى وصام. اللهم صل على